The night is quiet now. The air rests still, like a sheet of silk spread across the sky. A soft glow of starlight spills upon the earth, and the mind begins to wander slowly like a river without hurry. In this calmness, an ancient memory awakens. It is the memory of the very first dawn of worship, a time before great temples, before written words, when the world was young and people lived close to the rhythms of earth and sky. You drift into this beginning. You feel the air of distant ages. A wind carries the faint scent of smoke from small fires, lit under open skies. Men and women gather around them, eyes lifted toward the heavens, searching for meaning in the sparks that rise into the night. And here, in these first awakenings of spirit, the figure of woman glows with sacredness. Her body, round and life-giving, becomes the first altar. Her voice, soft and full of song, becomes the first prayer. Her touch, warm and protective, becomes the first blessing. Long before temples were carved in stone, people carved her image into bone and clay. Tiny statues rest in the palms of those who hold them. Figures of women with wide hips, gentle curves, and flowing forms. They are not portraits of one person. They are symbols of all women, symbols of earth itself, breathing life again and again. You drift through the memory of a cave wall. Shadows of fire flicker upon it. Painted shapes of animals. Rivers and stars move with the flame. Beside them is carved the outline of a woman, her arms raised, her body open to the sky. She is the mother, the earth, the endless mystery of birth. In this world, time is slow. The people live with the soil and the seasons. They watch seeds break open, water flowing into them and life rising upward. They see the cycle in the womb of women too, the hidden spark, the swelling of life, the birth of a child. To them, this was no small thing. It was a miracle, repeated again and again. So woman became sacred. She was more than herself. She was the vessel of the unseen. She was the bridge between the hidden and the living. She was the reminder that death was not the end, that life returned just as spring returns after winter. You breathe in slowly, imagining the hush of those early nights. The stars above are the same stars you see now. The same moon hung quiet, waxing and waning. And as those ancient ones watched the moon swell and fade, they thought of the womb, the cycle of women, the rhythm of life itself. The moon became a sister to the sacred woman. Its silver light softened the earth, and its pull guided the waters. Women followed its rhythm in their own bodies. It was a mirror above them, glowing with gentle power. Soft winds carry you onward to the fields where early people planted seeds. They pressed grains into the soil and waited. And in the waiting, they prayed. Their prayers were not words as we know them now. They were songs of hope. They were the silence of watching. They were the offering of hands raised to the sky. When the seeds grew, they saw the earth itself as a mother. And so, the image of the sacred woman deepened. She was not only the one who gave birth to children, but also the one who gave birth to the harvest, to the food, to the very breath of survival. Her image appeared everywhere, carved in stone, traced into pottery, painted onto walls. Her face may not have had detail, but her form was clear. The message was simple. Life is born from her, and life always returns. You drift gently through time, watching as tribes move, rivers shift, and stars continue their eternal dance. Everywhere, the sacred woman appears. In some places, she is the Great Mother. In others, she is the Lady of the Waters. Sometimes she is a bird spreading her wings, sometimes a serpent coiled in mystery, sometimes a great tree reaching to the sky. But always, she carries the same truth. She is the keeper of beginnings. She is the reminder that life flows onward. She is the vessel of the unseen spirit. The air grows softer now, like twilight at the edge of sleep. You hear the murmur of a stream nearby. Its waters flow over smooth stones, shining in silver light. For the people of those early days, rivers were the lifeblood of the earth, and rivers, like women, gave life. They were nourished, they carried, they never ceased. Sometimes they carved spirals into stone, symbols of the never-ending cycle. Sometimes they carved circles, endless and whole. These were prayers without words, shaped by hands that believed in the mystery of woman, in the mystery of life, returning again. You drift deeper into this quiet world. The fires burn low. Children sleep in the arms of their mothers. Elders hum songs by the flames. Above them, the stars shimmer, endless and eternal. In those stars, they saw yet another reflection of the sacred woman. For just as she carried children in her body, the sky carried stars in its vastness. Both were filled with hidden seeds of light. Both held mysteries that could not be measured. The people knew this without needing to explain. They felt it in their bones, in their breath, in the turning of their days. You breathe slowly now, feeling the weight of that simplicity. It was a time when the sacred was not far away. It was not hidden in books or locked in temples. It was alive in the earth, in the womb, in the flowing waters, and in the stars. And at the center of it all was the woman, honored as life-giver, keeper of mysteries, mother of beginnings. The chapter draws to a close. Like the dimming of firelight at dawn, you can still feel the warmth of those ancient nights. The soft glow of the sacred woman lingers, timeless and eternal. Her presence remains not only in the past, but also in the quiet rhythms of your own life, your breath, your heartbeat, the cycles of nature around you. Now rest with this memory. The dawn of sacred women has returned to you like a gentle dream. The stars above are watching, steady and calm. The earth below is holding you, safe and quiet. Let the spirit of the Sacred Mother carry you onward, and let your mind drift into peace as the night deepens and the stars return. The night is quiet once more. A pale silver light falls across the earth, soft and calm, like a veil drawn gently over sleeping lands. The moon rises above the horizon, its face glowing, patient and eternal. You drift beneath its watchful glow, and time itself begins to soften. The air is cool, filled with the hush of shadows. Each leaf, each stone, each silent breath of the world is touched by this silver glow. It feels as though the moon has opened a door, and you are being welcomed into a sacred dream. In ancient nights, long ago, women stood as keepers of this light. They were called priestesses, watchers of the moon, guardians of her mysteries. Their steps moved in rhythm with the stars. Their rituals flowed with the rise and fall of the moon's gentle face, and in their voices, soft songs carried into the stillness of the night. The world itself listened. You drift back into Mesopotamia, the lands where rivers wound like silver serpents across the sand. There, the moon was more than a glowing body in the sky. It was a guide, a clock of the heavens, a gentle ruler of time. Farmers watched it to know when to plant, when to reap, when to rest, and within temples, priestesses honored its glow as a living presence. Some whispered prayers to Sin, the moon god whose light touched every city and always. Women stood in sacred service. They lifted bowls of water to reflect the moon's glow, watching its silver face ripple on the surface. They traced its path across the sky, aligning festivals with its fullness and its fading. Every cycle was a rhythm of life, a heartbeat of heaven. The priestesses wore robes that shimmered like the night sky, dark fabrics scattered with tiny beads, as though the stars themselves had fallen into their hands. They moved slowly, gracefully, their voices rising in chants that matched the turning of the heavens. Each word, each note, was like a tide flowing gently in and out. They were not only singers of prayer, they were keepers of time, guardians of the balance between darkness and light. You drift further, and the desert sands carry you to Egypt, where the Nile shines like a ribbon beneath the moon. Here, too, women served as daughters of the moon. They lit lamps in the temple of Isis, whose power was tied to the waxing and waning of the night sky. They raised their arms to Nut, the goddess of the heavens, imagining her body stretched wide like the dome of stars. To them, the moon was not distant. It was a mirror of their own cycles, a reminder of the mystery flowing in their blood and in the rivers that sustained the land. The priestesses of the moon often gathered at night when the world was quiet. They sang softly to call down the moonlight, believing it carried healing, blessing, and wisdom. They bathed in its glow as though it were a sacred river. They poured offerings of milk and honey, symbols of sweetness and nourishment, to honor the gentle power above. Listen to the stillness of their temples. torches flicker, casting golden light on stone walls carved with sacred symbols. Beyond the temple doors, the moonlight pours into courtyards, flooding statues and altars in silver calm. The air is filled with incense, curling upward like a prayer that does not end. And the priestesses move among the shadows, robes brushing softly against the stone floor, their voices blending in harmony with the silence of night. Their prayers were not only for themselves. They prayed for the crops, for the rivers, for mothers and children, for travelers moving across deserts. Each word was an offering, carried upward with the smoke, as though the moon itself listened with quiet compassion. For the people of those lands, the moon was more than light. It was a guide of the spirit. It showed that darkness was never empty. Even in the blackest night, a glow remained, a soft reminder that hope could always return. The priestesses knew this truth. They kept it alive in their chants and in their movements. When the moon grew thin, they reminded the people that it would grow again. When it was full, they celebrated its abundance. They aligned the body with the sky, teaching that the rhythms of heaven live also within the human soul. You breathe slowly, as though you too are under their care. You feel the cool moonlight resting on your skin, like a blanket woven from silver threads. You sense the rhythm of the priestesses' songs, their voices flowing in waves, soothing, steady, and eternal. Across cultures, the moon was always tied to women, for both moved in cycles, both carried hidden mysteries, both glowed in darkness. The priestesses of Mesopotamia and Egypt did not separate themselves from this truth. They embodied it. They were the walking mirrors of the moon, the living rhythm of the sky. You drift deeper now, into the vision of a sacred ceremony. A courtyard opens under the stars. At its center, a pool of water reflects the moon's round face. Around it stand the priestesses, their voices weaving a circle of sound. Each note is soft and lingering, like a breath held long, then released. The pool shimmers, ripples of silver dancing outward. The moon above and the water below are joined, as if sky and earth are meeting. The priestesses lift their hands in silence. The night listens. The stars shine brighter, as though bowing to the glow of the moon, and the people gathered nearby feel safe, wrapped in the rhythm of these sacred women, guided by their devotion. Even now, the memory of those women lingers. When you look at the moon, you see not only its light, but also the countless eyes that have gazed upon it before. You sense the quiet prayers sung beneath it. You feel the blessings carried on its glow. The priestesses of the moon are gone, but their care drifts onward, across centuries, into your breath, into your sleep. The night deepens. The air is still. The moon remains, a silver guardian above, and just as the ancient ones once trusted its glow, you too can rest beneath it. Its light asks nothing. It only gives. It only shines. Now let your spirit settle, as though lying within a temple courtyard under the endless sky. The chants of the priestesses fade into silence. The torches burn low. The pool of water becomes still, a mirror of the stars. The moon gazes softly, steady and calm. Let this glow carry you onward. Let your mind drift into dreams as gentle as silver light. For the priestesses of the moon still sing quietly, even now, in the silence of night. Rest as the stars return. Rest as the moon keeps watch. Breathe slowly now, as the soft veil of night unfolds around you. A hush lingers in the air, as though the world itself has drawn close to listen. Above, the stars shimmer like scattered jewels, and the silver moon bends its light upon still waters. Here begins a journey through ancient sands, where temples rose like prayers carved in stone, and where the name of a gentle goddess was carried on every breath of wind. Isis. In Egypt, long ago, people whispered her name at dawn, at dusk, and beneath the coolness of midnight skies, she was the divine mother, the healer, the protector of the weak. Her story was sung in lullabies, carved into temple walls, and carried in offerings of incense and lotus flowers. Isis was not distant, nor unreachable. She was close, as near as a heartbeat, as tender as the hush of water lapping against the Nile. Her tale began with sorrow. Isis was wife to Osiris, the green god of life and renewal, and sister to him as well, for the gods were woven in bonds beyond mortal measure. When Osiris was betrayed and cut down, scattered into pieces by Set, the spirit of chaos, Isis did not collapse into despair. Instead, she searched, step by step, across desert winds and river paths. She gathered what had been broken. With hands like gentle dawn, she pieced together the fragments of her beloved through her magic. Through her song, she restored him to life, if only for a time. From that union came Horus, the falcon child, born beneath the sheltering wings of his mother. This story was more than myth. It was the rhythm of grief and renewal, sorrow and hope. The people saw in Isis not only a goddess of power, but a mother who knew loss, who carried pain, and who still held life close to her heart. In her, they found comfort. In her temples, they found rest. Imagine now walking softly through the sand, the night cool upon your skin. Ahead rises a temple dedicated to Isis. Torches flicker against tall columns, painted with stars and vines. The scent of frankincense curls into the air, sweet and steady. Inside, priestesses move with quiet grace, their linen robes whispering as they pass. Some carry bowls of water from the Nile, sacred and shimmering. Others lay down bread, milk, and flowers as offerings to the mother of all. The sound is gentle. A low hymn drifts, sung in a language of flowing tones. It is not loud. It does not stir the mind to thought. It simply wraps the spirit in calmness, like a lullaby carried across centuries. At the center of the temple stands her image, a tall figure of stone or gold, with a throne upon her head, for she was the seat of kingship. The very throne itself, her arms are open, carved with care, as though ready to hold all who come. Some images show her with wings, great and sweeping like the wings of a kite bird, stretched wide to cover and protect. Others show her nursing the child Horus, her gaze both strong and tender, a symbol of care that outlasts time. For the people, Isis was more than a queen of the heavens. She was a companion in daily life. Sailors prayed to her when they pushed their boats into the wide river or the open sea. Mothers called upon her when children were sick, asking her to bring healing, to soothe fevers, to carry away pain. The lonely prayed to her for comfort, and the grieving asked her to guide their lost ones into peace. Her cult spread like water flowing beyond its banks. What began in the sands of Egypt stretched across seas and into distant lands. In Greece, her name was spoken with reverence. In Rome, her temples rose with marble pillars, where citizens gathered in search of renewal and hope. The goddess of Egypt became a mother of nations. Her story carried far, her wings covering all who sought her. Picture again the temple at night. The moonlight rests on the polished floors. Priestesses bring jars of water and pour them slowly, the sound like rain falling in dreams. They chant the names of Isis, soft and steady, like waves upon the shore. Their voices rise and fall in a rhythm that is neither hurried nor sharp. It is the sound of breath, the sound of life moving gently forward. One priestess lifts a lamp of oil, its flame steady in the still air. She walks in a circle, tracing the path of the stars. Light flickers across painted walls. Where the goddess is drawn in blues and golds, the air feels thick with stillness, yet it is not heavy. It is the stillness of peace, of protection, of being held in unseen arms. The story of Isis also speaks of magic. Not the harsh magic of storms, but the quiet magic of words and care. They said her tongue was filled with spells, and her breath carried life. When others despaired, she whispered strength. When sickness fell, she whispered healing. Her power was not the fire of destruction, but the cool water that restores. And so, those who entered her temples came with faith that she would. Here no prayer was too small, no cry was left unnoticed. Her motherly presence stretched far beyond the boundaries of stone walls. Now imagine the sacred river, the Nile, flowing beneath the moon. Its surface shimmers with silver light. Lotus flowers drift upon the water, their petals opening to the night. Fishermen bow their heads before setting sail, whispering her name. Mothers rock children to sleep, humming songs that speak of her care. Travelers crossing the desert carry amulets with her face, trusting her wings to shield them. She is everywhere, in sand, in water, in wind. She is the thread binding sorrow to healing, loss to renewal. The cult of Isis was not only about gods and temples. It was about a feeling, a presence that calmed fears and promised that even after night, dawn would return. Her story of sorrow became a lesson in resilience. Her search for Osiris became a map for every heart that has known grief. Her arms became a symbol of protection, her milk a sign of nourishment, her wings a shelter against all harm. Through her, people found courage to face the unknown. Through her, they felt that no step, no breath, no tear was unseen. Now, let the night grow deeper around you. The temple fades, the chants drift into silence, the river slows into stillness. The wings of Isis fold gently around your spirit, soft as feathers. They cover you, guarding your rest. Breathe with ease, as though you too are upon the Nile, carried by its calm current beneath the stars. Each breath is a ripple in the water, moving slowly, peacefully, without end. The goddess watches. The night protects. The river flows. Now rest as the stars return, and let the story of Isis guide you into dreams. Night lingers softly over the mountains of Greece. The air is cool, touched with the faint scent of pine and thyme. Above, the stars scatter like silver dust across a deep velvet sky. And at the heart of this stillness, a path winds upward, carrying us toward a place long held sacred. This is Delphi, the navel of the world, where the earth itself was said to breathe. Slow your thoughts now, as though you too are climbing this gentle path. Each step is quiet, each breath steady. The stones beneath your feet feel worn and smooth, carrying the memory of countless pilgrims who walked before you. They came seeking answers, guidance and hope. They came to listen to the voices of the oracle. In Delphi, the temple of Apollo stood tall, gleaming once with marble and gold. Its columns lifted into the sky like prayers made solid. Within its heart, in a chamber deep and shadowed, the oracle spoke. She was known as the Pythia, a woman chosen to carry the voice of the god. Seated upon a tripod, above a fissure in the earth, she breathed in the rising vapors. Her body grew still, her eyes half closed, and from her lips came words shaped not by her alone, but by the divine. The people believed Apollo himself spoke through her. Kings and wanderers alike bent their heads to hear. The trembling of empires, the rise of armies, the planting of fields, even the setting of sails across the wide seas, all might be guided by her voice. Yet beyond power and politics, her words were also threads of comfort. For those who came in sorrow or doubt, her voice was a lantern in the dark. Imagine now the moment of waiting in that sacred place. The temple is hushed, save for the soft crackle of burning incense. A golden light flickers against painted walls, where images of Apollo with his lyre shine in warm glow. The scent of laurel leaves fills the air, sharp yet soothing, reminding all who gather that this is the tree of prophecy. Priests stand nearby, listening, their robes flowing softly as they move. But it is the oracle who holds all eyes. She sits quietly, wrapped in white, her hair dark against the pale cloth. Her chest rises and falls with slow, measured breaths. The room feels alive, as though the mountain itself is breathing with her. Then, softly, her lips part. A murmur becomes words, flowing like water from a hidden spring. The sound is not hurried. It is not fierce. It is low, measured, carrying a rhythm like the waves of the sea. Some hear mystery in her voice. Others hear clarity, but all feel a sense of stillness, as though time has bent to listen. The oracle of Delphi was more than a single woman. For centuries, generation after generation, women were chosen to sit in that sacred place. They were vessels of the divine, bridges between mortal hearts and immortal wisdom. Though empires rose and fell, though kings came and went, the voices of the oracle continued like a river that never ceased. Travelers journeyed from far lands, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, just to hear a single phrase. Some carried gold or rich gifts, others brought only a humble offering of flowers. But all carried the same desire, to glimpse the path ahead, to feel a hand of guidance upon the shoulder of their fate. Picture now the mountains around Delphi. The night sky leans close, filled with constellations that shimmer like stories written in light. The air is crisp, carrying the faint echo of a lyre strummed somewhere beyond the temple walls. It is said that Apollo himself was a god of music, and his songs still seem to float through the stones. In the valley below, olive trees spread like a silver sea. Their leaves shimmer in the moonlight, whispering as the wind passes through them. A river winds its way through the land, calm and reflective. All of nature seems to lean toward Delphi, as though listening, too, for the voice of the oracle. The oracle's words were not always clear. They were like dreams, soft, layered, often hidden in images and symbols. Yet this was part of their power. For prophecy was never meant to be a command. It was a mirror, a song, a gentle ripple across the water. It asked the listener to pause, to think, to find their own way within the mystery. Imagine sitting before her, your heart heavy with questions. The world feels wide, and you seek a thread to follow. Her voice rises in the quiet, offering words that stir not only your mind, but something deeper. The answer is not a path marked in stone, but a light upon the horizon inviting you to walk forward in faith to the people. The oracle was both distant and near. She spoke with the breath of a god, yet she was also a woman of flesh and blood. She carried the weight of centuries, yet her presence was as gentle as candlelight. Many believed her gift came from the earth itself, from the breath of Gaia, the Great Mother, who once held this place before Apollo's temple was raised. The ground beneath Delphi was seen as sacred, a meeting of sky, stone, and spirit. So when the oracle breathed in those vapors, when her voice trembled with unseen force, it was as if the mountain itself was speaking through her. It was the voice of the earth, of the god, of the unseen weaving its way into words. Time drifted on, yet the memory of Delphi never faded, even when the temples crumbled, even when silence filled the chamber where the oracle once sat. Her voice remained in the memory of the world. Stories carried it forward, keeping alive the sound of her words, soft and eternal. Her legacy was not in the power of kings, nor in the fate of battles, but in the reminder that humans could touch the divine, if only for a moment, through the breath of a woman seated in stillness. Now, let us drift once more into the night. The temple grows quiet, the incense fades, the voices fall to silence. Only the stars remain, endless and watchful. They shine above Delphi as they have for ages, as they always will. Breathe with the mountains, breathe with the river. Feel the calm of the oracle's voice echo softly in the chambers of your heart. Not urgent, not commanding, only steady and serene. Her words are like water upon stone, shaping gently, patiently, without force. Her presence is like wings unfolding, covering you with calm. Now rest as the stars return, and let the voices of the oracle guide you into dreams. Night stretches wide, but within the dream world, dawn begins to stir. The first light touches the fields, painting the earth in soft gold. A quiet mist rises, wrapping the soil in a gentle veil. It is here, in the breath of morning, that the mothers of fertility are remembered. Close your eyes and picture them. They are not bound by a single name or land. They rise wherever seeds are sown, wherever rivers flow, wherever the womb of the earth brings forth new life. They are the eternal givers, the guardians of growth, the singers of renewal. In Mesopotamia, people whispered the name of Inanna. She was fierce, radiant, and tender. Her hands stretched across the fields of grain, and her blessings fell like rain upon the thirsty soil. When the barley swayed in the wind, people believed it was her robe brushing gently over the earth. In temples lit with oil lamps, women carried offerings of bread and dates, thanking her for the abundance of harvests. Each loaf was not only food but a prayer, a wish for a life to continue, steady and strong. In Egypt, the people lifted their voices to Hathor. She was the Golden One, the Lady of Joy, the mother who nurtured with laughter and song. Her image was carved with the horns of a cow, a symbol of nourishment, milk, and endless giving. When children were born, mothers prayed to Hathor for strength. When the Nile flooded its banks and watered the land, it was said that her love was flowing through every drop. These mothers of fertility did not rule with swords or fire. Their power was quieter, yet unshakable, It lived in the rhythm of seasons, the turning of moons, the growth of vines. Wherever a child laughed, wherever grain bent heavy with ripeness, their presence could be felt. The people looked to them not only for food, but for comfort in times of uncertainty. For just as the earth seemed to rest in winter and return in spring, so too could the human spirit find renewal after sorrow. Across the Aegean seas, in the small villages of Greece, Demeter was honored. She carried wheat in her arms, a mother of harvest whose sorrow and joy shaped the cycle of the year. When her daughter Persephone descended to the underworld, the earth grew barren, the fields turned pale, and nothing would grow. But when Persephone returned each spring, Demeter's joy poured into the soil. Flowers opened, grain swelled, and the world was made new again. This story was not only a myth, but a reminder that loss and renewal dance together, that the earth's pauses are only part of her breathing. Step softly now into the fields of ancient Europe. There, people carved small figures of women with round forms, full hips, and gentle curves. These were not images of wealth or battle. They were prayers in stone, symbols of fertility and abundance. Placed in homes and buried in the soil, they were calls to the mothers to bless the earth with children, crops, and the warmth of continuity. In every culture, the same truth returned. Life comes from the womb of the earth, and women were honored as reflections of this. Mystery: to plant a seed was to trust the unseen. To nurture a child was to carry the same rhythm as the divine. The mothers of fertility were not distant figures in the sky. They were present in every loaf of bread, every sip of water, every sunrise over a planted field. Imagine now that you are lying in the grass of an ancient meadow. The air is warm, the soil rich beneath you. Birds circle overhead, their wings catching the sunlight. In the distance, a river hums its endless song. The barley sways, whispering like a choir of voices. It is as if the mothers are singing through the wind, a hymn of patience, of nourishment, of gentle strength. Their song carries many notes. One is the promise that no winter lasts forever. One is the truth that even in sorrow, life continues its quiet work beneath the soil. Another is the joy of children's laughter, the simple music of life renewed. Together, the notes weave into a lullaby that comforts the earth, and comforts you as well. In far lands by rivers and forests, the mothers took on new names. In the Indus Valley, people honored Shakti, the sacred power that flows through all creation. In northern lands, the goddess Freya carried symbols of fertility. Her name whispered in the growing of fields and the strength of families. In every place, though the names were different, the spirit was the same. It was the recognition that life is not a force of conquest, but of gentle, endless renewal. These mothers were also guardians of balance. They reminded the people that to take from the earth is to give back as well. Seeds were planted with prayers, harvests were shared with gratitude, and festivals lit the nights with dance and feasting. The people knew that when the mothers were honored, the soil grew rich, the wombs were fruitful, and the rivers ran steady. Picture now one of these festivals. It is night, and the fields are filled with the glow of torches. Families gather, carrying baskets of fruit, loaves of bread, and bowls of milk. Songs rise into the air, steady and sweet, their rhythms guided by drums that beat like a slow, strong heart. Children run in circles, weaving garlands of flowers to place on the altars. Women pour wine onto the ground as an offering, letting the earth drink in joy. The night sky watches, its stars glimmering like eyes of the divine. And in the center of it all is a statue of the mother, adorned with blossoms, shining with the love of her people. The mothers of fertility were never only about crops or children. They were symbols of the eternal cycle. Birth, growth, decline, rest, and rebirth again. Their presence was the steady heartbeat of the world, and though the temples may fade, though the names may shift with time, their song still hums beneath the surface of life. Even now, when you look at the morning sun spilling over the horizon, when you taste fruit warmed by light, when you hear the laughter of a child, you are hearing echoes of the same mothers who were honored thousands of years ago. They are not gone. They are as close as the breath of spring, as near as the soil beneath your feet. Let your heart rest in this truth. Like the seed that sleeps beneath winter frost, there is always renewal waiting. Like the river that disappears beneath the ground, there is always a return. The mothers of fertility are gentle guardians, holding this rhythm in their hands, guiding it without force, shaping it with patience. Their whispers are soft, like the wind in tall grass. Their presence is calm, like the warmth of dawn. Their gifts are simple, yet endless, bread for the body, hope for the heart, and the reminder that life continues, always. Now drift back into the meadow. The stars fade as the sun rises once more. The fields glow with morning light. The flowers opening like small prayers. The river shines as it moves slowly toward the sea. And in this sacred landscape, the mothers of fertility smile, not with grandeur, but with quiet love, not with power, but with patience. Rest in their song. Rest in their promise. Let the rhythm of the earth cradle you now. Let us drift onward, carried by their voices as the dawn spreads across the sky. And now rest, as the stars return in their own time, and the mothers of fertility keep watch in the silence of the soil. Night unfolds like a velvet cloak. The air is cool, touched with silver, and the sky above stretches endless, jeweled with lights that flicker softly. You are drifting beneath that vastness, as though the heavens have lowered themselves close, whispering secrets through the quiet hum of starlight. The earth lies still, only the pulse of the night remains, steady and slow, like a heartbeat shared between sky and soil. Far away, in the oldest stories, the stars were never silent. They were seen as living beings, daughters of the sky, radiant messengers who bridged the world of gods and humans. Among them stood great figures, goddesses of brightness, of desire, of beauty and power. Astarte in the lands of Phoenicia, Inanna in the plains of Sumer, Ishtar beneath the Mesopotamian moon, each one shining, each one radiant, each one carrying both the gentleness of love and the fierce light of battle. Listen now, as their stories move like rivers across the heavens. Close your eyes and feel them gathering, these daughters of the stars, who forever shape the dreams of humankind. Long ago, in the ancient city of Uruk, people gazed up at the morning star. It burned bright in the dawn sky. Appearing before the sun had risen, they saw in its glow a goddess, Inanna, the queen of heaven. She was young and full of beauty, yet behind her softness lay immense strength. She was guardian of love, of longing, of fertility and joy. But she was also the warrior, fierce and unyielding, the one who walked boldly into the heart of conflict. Inanna's temple stood tall, layered with bricks that blushed red in the light of dawn. Inside, priests and priestesses sang gentle hymns. The air was scented with incense, sweet and thick, curling toward the ceiling like a trail of smoke reaching for the stars. Offerings of bread, of milk, of fragrant oils were left at her feet. The people sought her blessings, safe childbirth, fruitful harvests, victory in battle, and the comfort of love. For Inanna was not only of the heavens, she lived in every moment of desire, in every yearning of the heart. When the stars sank into evening, she appeared again in the dusk. Both morning and night belonged to her. Like a flame she rose, brightening the path between the seen and the unseen. Across the waters, in the coastal cities of Phoenicia, the people looked up at the same star. But to them, she was Astarte, radiant queen of the heavens. She was linked to the sea, to the tides that breathed in and out along the shore. Sailors prayed to her before setting out on uncertain journeys. Fishermen offered her shells and pearls so that the waves might be kind. Her temples faced the waters, their walls reflecting the shimmer of sun and moonlight. Astarte was seen with doves flying about her, wings soft and white as drifting clouds. Sometimes she was crowned with a crescent moon, a reminder that she belonged both to sky and to sea. Her worship was filled with music, gentle flutes, slow drums, the hum of voices carried across the shoreline winds. The people called her the giver of life, the keeper of beauty, and they trusted that her hand guided both kings and lovers. When the Phoenicians sailed far, carrying their trade to distant lands, they carried her name with them. And so Astarte traveled across seas, her presence woven into new stories, new lands, new hearts. Always, she remained the daughter of the stars, bright and unending. In the deserts and cities of Mesopotamia, she was also known as Ishtar. Her temples rose like mountains of stone, vast and glowing in the firelight. Carvings showed her with wings spread wide, standing upon lions, holding weapons in her hands. For Ishtar was not gentle alone, she was also storm and fire. She was love that burned too fiercely, and war that demanded courage. And yet, people did not fear her. They loved her, for she was real to them, close, present in the cycle of their lives. When lovers whispered to one another in the quiet of the night, they felt her there. When warriors raised their swords beneath the rising star, they felt her blessing too. She was both tenderness and power, both giver and taker, both the soft touch of comfort and the sharp flame of passion. Ishtar's myths told of journeys deep into the underworld. She walked through gates of shadow, surrendering crown and jewels one by one. Down, down she went, leaving behind her brightness until she stood bare in darkness. But from that depth, she rose again, returning to light, bringing with her renewal, rebirth, the endless turning of life itself. The daughters of the stars were not confined to one land. Their faces shifted, their names changed, yet always they gleamed above the horizon. In Greece, the morning star was Aphrodite, born of the sea's foam, radiant with beauty. In Rome she became Venus, the planet that glowed most brightly in the night sky. But the thread of their story remained the same: love, beauty, longing, and the mysterious balance of tenderness and strength. The people of the earth looked upward and found comfort in their light. When the nights grew long, the stars still shone. When battles raged or hearts broke, the star was there. It was steady, eternal, a reminder that even in the shifting tides of life, some nights never fade. Close your eyes now, and imagine walking through a field at dusk. The grasses bend gently in the evening wind. The air grows cool, and above you one star brightens in the violet sky. It is not far. It feels alive, as though it watches over you with soft, radiant eyes. This star carries the voices of Astarte, Inanna, Ishtar, Aphrodite, voices that whisper of love's sweetness, of the strength hidden within the heart, of beauty that glows not only in youth, but in all things that live and breathe. Voices that remind you that endings are not final, that from loss comes renewal, just as the star disappears into morning only to rise again at night. These goddesses were never far from those who called to them. They were protectors of lovers, guides of sailors, guardians of kings and farmers alike. And in their stories, the world found peace and hope. The star itself became a prayer, a promise, a companion. As you rest now, think of the stars above you. They shine with ancient memory, carrying whispers from temples long gone, from worshippers whose footsteps are dust, yet the light remains untouched, eternal. The same star you see tonight is the star they saw thousands of years ago. It linked their lives to the heavens, just as it links yours, and so as you drift into sleep, you are held within that same glow. The daughters of the stars are still here. They hum softly in the silence, keeping watch as you rest. They are the rhythm of the tides, the pulse of the earth, the brightness of the heavens. They are love, they are beauty, they are the unending return of light. Let the night carry you gently, let the star guide you, shining steady and true. For tomorrow it will rise again, and the daughters of the stars will walk once more across the sky. Now rest, as the heavens stretch wide above you. Now rest, as the star glimmers, keeping your dreams safe. Now rest, as the daughters of the stars sing softly, and the night drifts onward, calm and eternal. The night opens gently, like a curtain drawn across the sky. The air is still, touched by the soft perfume of earth and faint flowers. A silver moon climbs higher, casting a tender glow across stone courtyards and ancient hills. In this light, silence itself seems to sway, as though unseen footsteps move slowly through the shadows. You drift closer to that quiet rhythm, hearing in the distance the pulse of a drum, low and steady, like the heartbeat of the earth. Long ago, when words were not yet written, dance carried prayer. Bodies became the sacred script, each movement a verse of devotion. Through swaying hips, lifted arms, and circling steps, women called upon the divine. They danced for the harvest, for love, for healing, for the mysteries of birth and death. In their movements, the heavens and the earth touched one another. In the temples of the ancient world, the dance was more than celebration. It was a path to the divine. The air inside those holy places was thick with incense. Flames flickered in bronze lamps, shadows stretching long across carved walls. The sound of a single drum echoed in the stone, its beat slow and certain. Women in flowing veils began to move in circles, their steps small and deliberate, their gestures soft, as though stirring the air into patterns unseen. The circle was sacred. It mirrored the sun, the moon, the turning of the seasons, the endless return of life itself. As they turned, their garments whispered like waves, their feet brushed lightly against the ground, as if honoring the earth with every step, and those who watched felt drawn into the rhythm, into the quiet trance where body and spirit drifted as one. In Egypt, the dance belonged to Hathor, goddess of joy, of music, of love. Her temples echoed with tambourines, clapping hands, and the sound of sistrums, their metal tongues ringing like stars. Priestesses swayed with grace, their movements honoring her presence, their bodies glimmering in the torchlight. To dance for Hathor was to embody delight, to remind the people that life itself was sacred, not only in silence and prayer, but in the sweetness of song and motion. The dancers of Hathor carried healing in their steps. They moved at festivals when the Nile flooded, blessing the fields with water. They moved in rituals of fertility, asking the goddess to bring renewal to both womb and soil. Their hips swayed like the river, flowing, alive. Their arms reached upward, offering the joy of the people back to the heavens. Through dance, sorrow was lifted, and hearts remembered laughter and love. Far to the east, in Sumer and Babylon, movement belonged also to Inanna, Queen of Heaven. Her temples told of her passion, her fire, her unyielding presence in both love and war. Here, too, women gathered in circles, moving in patterns both soft and strong. Their steps spoke of longing, of desire, of the fierce beauty of life. Through rhythm, they honored her dual nature, the tenderness of the lover, the power of the warrior. Sometimes the dances grew wild, like the rising of a storm, feet stamped against the earth, hands lifted high. Voices cried out in song. The energy rose and rose, spilling into ecstasy, for to dance was not only to pray, but to surrender, to let the body carry the spirit into realms beyond words. When the movement ceased, silence fell heavy, sacred, and in that stillness, the people felt Inanna's presence, both fierce and radiant. Among the Greeks, dance was woven into every ritual, every celebration of life and death. In the temples of Artemis, young women danced in her honor, moving with the swiftness of deer, the freedom of wild creatures. In the festivals of Dionysus, the circle widened. The dance became a river of joy and release, flowing through the night until dawn. But it was in the quiet, measured steps of priestesses moving in long robes that the people found their deepest prayers answered. Every gesture spoke a word without voice. Every turn echoed the turning of the stars. The Greeks believed the muses themselves danced in the heavens, their movements guiding inspiration and song. When humans danced in circles, they mirrored that celestial rhythm. The body became a star, turning in harmony with the cosmos. The dancer was no longer alone, but joined in the endless spiral of existence. In the holy lands of Canaan, Phoenicia, and beyond, the goddess Astarte was honored in movement. Her worshippers carried torches, their flames swaying with the steps of the dancers. The night became alive with motion, veils swirling, feet pressing against earth, light rippling like water through the crowd. Astarte was goddess of love, of fertility, of the sea, and so the dance moved like the tide, in and out, back and forth, carrying the rhythm of the waves within human form. Here, the dance was also a bridge. It called down the goddess into the circle, inviting her presence to bless the people. Every swaying body became an offering, every lifted hand a prayer, and the firelight flickering in the night cast the dancers into shapes that seemed more than human, spirits of flame, shadows of the divine. Across many cultures, the sacred dance held the same truth. Movement was prayer. The body itself was a temple. The rhythm of the drum was the voice of the earth. The sway of arms was the breath of the wind. And the circle was the universe, unbroken, unending. Even now, if you listen closely, you can almost hear it. The faint hum of song, the echo of steps across stone, the low, steady beat of a drum carried on the breeze. It is the memory of those who moved before you, long ago, in courtyards lit by fire, beneath skies filled with stars. Their movements remain, woven into the fabric of time, always circling, always flowing. Close your eyes now, and imagine yourself within that circle. The ground is cool beneath your feet. The air is soft against your skin. You feel the beat of the drum, slow and calm, steady as a heartbeat. Your body begins to sway, gently, like a branch moved by the wind. There is no effort, only flow. You are part of the circle. You are part of the rhythm. The torches flicker around you. The stars gleam above. You are not separate, not alone. You are the earth, the sky, the pulse of life itself. The dance is you, and you are the dance. The circle turns, unbroken. The prayer continues, wordless, all eternal. As the night deepens, the movements grow slower. The veils settle. The drums fade into silence. Only the whisper of wind remains, moving softly through the empty temple. The dancers rest, their bodies stilled, but the energy lingers. Like the warmth of fire after flame, so too may you rest now. The sacred dance has carried you gently, step by step, breath by breath. You have moved through temples, through courtyards, through circles of song. You have felt the pulse of the earth, the turning of the stars. You have walked in rhythm with those who long ago prayed through movement. Now the dance slows into stillness. Now the night closes its curtain of stars. Now your breath becomes the only rhythm. Let it guide you deeper into calm, into silence, into rest. The sacred dance does not end. It waits quietly within you, ready to rise again when dawn calls. But for now, the circle rests, and so do you. Drift onward, softly, drift as the veils fall, drift as the stars return, and sleep within the eternal rhythm of the sacred dance. The night opens with a hush, as if the earth itself exhales. A cool wind drifts through groves of cypress and olive, carrying the scent of soil and herbs. The stars above gleam softly, scattered like tiny lamps across a velvet sky. Somewhere in the distance, water flows, gentle, steady, unbroken. You walk toward that sound, and the air grows sweeter, touched by the fragrance of chamomile, sage, and lavender. It is here, in the quiet places between stone and sky, that the healers once gathered. For thousands of years, women kept the knowledge of healing. They were midwives, bringing forth new life with whispered prayers and practiced hands. They were herbalists, carrying secrets of leaves and roots, seeds and flowers, each one a remedy gifted by the earth. They were spiritual guides, calming restless hearts, calling back lost spirits, balancing what was broken. Their work was not loud or grand, but gentle, like the hush of dawn, like the soft rain that nourishes the soil unseen. Imagine a small shrine on the edge of a village. Its walls are simple, its lamps flickering with oil. Inside, women move quietly, tending to bundles of herbs hung from rafters, jars filled with honey, bowls of water glimmering in the dim light. Their voices are soft, chanting old words that soothe the heart more than the ear. A mother enters, weary, carrying a child with fever. The healer kneels, touches the child's brow, places a poultice of cool leaves, whispers a blessing. It is not only medicine, it is care, love woven into every gesture. And in the hush of that shrine, the fever begins to ease. In Mesopotamia, these women were called upon as the earth's interpreters. They knew the bitter taste of wormwood, the sweetness of date, the power of garlic, the calm of mint. They read the body like a sacred tablet, tracing its signs, listening to its silent language. They worked beside the temple priests, but their craft was different. It was of the home, of the field, of the birth chamber. It was a bridge between the divine and the human, between soil and soul. They carried amulets of clay, carved with protective symbols. They used water drawn from rivers blessed under moonlight. They sang over wounds, believing that sound itself could carry away sickness. And many believed it did, for healing was never just one thing. It was body, spirit, and earth, all touched at once. In Egypt, women healers honored Isis, the great mother who knew the secrets of life and resurrection. Her temples stood as sanctuaries for the broken and the grieving. Here, midwives learned their art, whispering Isis's name as new life entered the world. Herbalists soaked bandages in honey to seal wounds, pressed oils into skin to restore balance. They brewed teas from hibiscus and lotus, herbs that cooled the body beneath the desert sun. The Nile itself was seen as a healer. Its waters were sacred, carrying both life and renewal. Healers would dip linen into the river, binding it around those in pain, believing the flow of the Nile would carry sickness away. Every act was prayer. Every remedy was woven with trust in the divine. Among the Greeks, the work of healing flowed through the temples of Asclepius, the god of medicine. Yet alongside the physicians, women kept their craft in quiet ways. They lit lamps beside the sick, burning herbs to clear the air. They placed laurel leaves at the bedside, symbols of cleansing and protection. They guided women through the pains of childbirth, chanting hymns to Artemis, who guarded the young and the vulnerable. In some temples, those seeking healing would sleep upon sacred ground, believing that the gods would send dreams as medicine. Women watched over them through the night, listening, soothing, interpreting. When morning came, the dreams were told, and remedies given. Healing was not only of flesh, but of soul, of story, of memory. Far to the north, in lands of forest and snow, women healers walked with nature itself. They gathered berries and bark, moss and pine resin. They knew where to find the hidden roots beneath frozen soil, the plants that healed wounds, the brews that eased the winter cough. They sang to the spirits of the forest, offering thanks before taking each gift. To heal was not only to use, but to honor, to give back what was taken, to respect the circle of life. These women were guardians of balance. They knew that every cure was also a mystery, that every plant carried both harm and blessing, and that wisdom was the art of knowing when to use each. Their touch was careful, their words gentle. They healed not only the body, but the fear that lived inside the body. Across every land, the keepers of healing carried the same truth, that life was fragile and yet endlessly renewed, that the earth itself offered medicine, if one only listened, that the body and the spirit were not two, but one, joined in the same breath, the same heartbeat, and that love, the simple act of care, was the greatest cure of all. Now imagine yourself in their circle. The shrine is quiet, lit only by lamps of oil. The air smells of rosemary, lavender and cedar. A bowl of water glimmers, reflecting the flame. A healer's hands move gently, steady, sure. Her voice hums softly, a sound without words, low and soothing. You breathe in the warmth of herbs, the rhythm of flame, the calm of her presence. In this moment, you too are being healed, not by medicine, not by ritual, but by stillness itself. The breath slows, the body softens, the mind grows quiet, like water settling after a storm. You are whole, as you have always been. The night deepens, the healers rest, the shrine falls silent. Only the scent of herbs lingering in the air. The stars above remain, patient, eternal, watching as the world dreams. And in their light, the knowledge of the keepers of healing still lives, carried like seeds across time. So let yourself rest now. Let your body find ease. Let your mind be soothed, like a fever cooled, like a wound wrapped in gentle cloth. The circle of healing is unbroken. It flows through the earth, through the stars, through the breath you carry. Now drift onward, now rest. As the night holds you, now sleep as the stars return. The night lies still, soft as a cloak of velvet drawn across the sky. The stars glow faintly, scattered lanterns in a vast and endless temple. A breeze passes gently, carrying the scent of cedar and smoke. And in the heart of an ancient city, a small flame burns. It is steady. It does not falter. Its light is more than fire. It is promise. It is protection. It is the quiet breath of the divine upon the earth. You step closer, drawn toward its glow. The world around is hushed, stone arches standing silent, as if listening. The flame dances within its shrine, cradled by shadows, watched by devoted keepers. These women are known as the Vestal Virgins. For centuries they carried a sacred duty, to tend the eternal flame of Rome, to keep it burning without end, as life itself must not be broken. The temple stands at the city's heart. Columns rise toward the sky, pale against the darkening heavens. Within, the air is warm, glowing with the fire's steady pulse. No torch, no lamp, no hearth in Rome was thought more holy than this single flame. It was the soul of the city, the light that must never fade. If it faltered, so too might Rome itself. And so, the Vestals watched. They walked softly, robed in white, their veils flowing like pale rivers around them. Their hair was braided with care, bound with ribbons that marked them as chosen. Their voices rarely rose above a whisper, yet every step they took was filled with meaning. For theirs was not a life of chance, it was devotion, woven from childhood into their very being. A girl was chosen young, no older than 10. She left behind her family, her home, her name as she had known it. She entered the temple as one set apart, devoted not to one god, but to the sacred flame that burned for all. For 30 years she would serve, 30 cycles of seasons, watching, tending, praying. Her days moved with the rhythm of the fire, offering incense in the morning, keeping vigil at night. When others slept, she would listen to the quiet crackle, feeding the embers with careful hands. The flame was never to die, for the fate of a people was thought to rest in its glow. Picture the hush of midnight in that temple. The city sleeps, but within these walls, a Vestal kneels. Her face glows golden in the firelight. She lays fresh kindling upon the embers, listening to the small sigh of the flame as it rises again. Her thoughts are not her own. They belong to the duty she carries. The fire warms her, yet it is not warmth she seeks. It is continuity. It is the chain unbroken, stretching back to the first spark, reaching forward into every tomorrow. The Romans believed this flame was more than fire. It was the breath of Vesta, goddess of hearth and home. She was not fierce like Mars, nor mighty like Jupiter. Her power was quiet, hidden, constant. She was the protector of walls, of bread, of the daily warmth that makes life safe. And so, the Vestals did not guard a weapon, nor a crown, but something gentler, something that seemed small, yet held the weight of eternity. Around the temple, life unfolded. The city roared with markets, with soldiers, with cries of trade and song. But within these sacred walls, the sound was hushed. The steps of the women were soft. The whisper of robes against stone, the loudest echo. The flame flickered, casting its calm light on jars of grain, on sacred water drawn from pure springs, on altars where offerings of bread were laid. Each detail held meaning. Each act was a prayer without words. The Vestals were honored, yet also bound. They carried great freedom for women of their time, able to own land, to speak in court, to be respected in ways few others were. Yet their lives belonged not to themselves, but to the flame. It was a vow, deep as the stars, binding as the earth beneath their feet. They lived in purity, not as denial, but as a symbol of untouched devotion. For the flame was seen as unbroken, pure, eternal, and so its keepers mirrored its essence. In the heart of their service was rhythm. Day after day, night after night, the same steps repeated, tending, watching, praying. The cycle itself was the offering. Like the seasons, like the tides, the Vestals lived as part of the eternal turning. The flame was never theirs to own, never theirs to finish. It had begun long before them, and it would burn long after. They were guardians only for a while, vessels through which the sacred passed. The people of Rome believed the city's safety rested on the flame. If it faltered, it was a sign of danger. If it burned steady, Rome itself was steady, and so, when a Vestal passed through the streets, heads bowed, crowds parted, even soldiers laid down their arms, for in her steps walked the spirit of Vesta, the quiet promise of protection. Her presence was reminder enough that the flame was alive, and with it, the heart of the empire. But beyond duty, beyond reverence, there was something gentler still. The flame brought comfort. Its glow was a reminder of home in a world often unsettled. Its warmth was the warmth of the hearth, where families gathered, where bread was shared, where stories were told. Even in the grandest empire, in the loudest city, the essence of safety was still the same, a fire that did not go out. The Vestals kept that truth alive, not only for Rome, but for every soul that longed for peace. Imagine now that you are seated within that temple. The night stretches long, but the flame does not tire. Its glow washes over stone walls, over smooth floors, over the faces of the silent guardians. You hear the faint crackle of wood, the soft sigh of the air as the fire breathes. It is steady, timeless, like a heartbeat that belongs not only to you, but to all life. As you watch, your own breath falls into rhythm with its glow. Inhale with the flames rise. Exhale with its fall. Your chest softens, your body eases, the warmth seeps gently into you, like light into still water. This flame has burned through centuries, through wars and peace, through triumph and loss. It did not judge, did not change. It only endured. And in its endurance, it became sacred. Not because it was grand, but because it was constant, like the sun that rises each morning, like the stars that return each night, like the breath that carries you now, quiet and sure. So let yourself rest in its glow. Feel the hush of the temple around you, safe and still. The Vestals move gently, but their presence is calm, their watch unbroken. The fire does not falter. Its warmth is enough. Its light is enough. You are safe here, wrapped in the same constancy. The night drifts onward. The city sleeps. The guardians remain at their post, watching the eternal flame. It flickers softly, like a star upon the earth, and as you close your eyes, its glow lingers behind your lids, gentle and steady, carrying you deeper into rest. Now drift, as the flame burns on. Now sleep. As the guardians keep watch, now rest. As the stars return, the night opens gently, as though a curtain of stars has been drawn across the heavens. Silver light drapes the earth in quiet folds, and the air holds its breath, calm and waiting. Far away, a soft drum echoes in the hills, steady as a heartbeat. A lantern sways in the distance, its glow caught in the folds of mist. You drift closer, guided not by path or stone, but by a sense of quiet calling. A mystery waits beyond the veil. The land of Greece lies under the moon. Its fields of barley sway even in the night, stalks whispering like voices too soft to catch. And at the edge of the fields, the great sanctuary of Eleusis rises from the dark. Stone walls stand solemn, doorways shadowed, as though they guard secrets older than memory. This is a place of the mysteries, rites whispered from heart to heart, hidden from the world outside. Only those chosen, only those prepared, were allowed to enter. And yet the story of their meaning lingers, gentle and enduring, carried like a breath across time. The mysteries were woven around the tale of Demeter and Persephone, a mother and daughter bound by love, torn by absence, reunited through the cycles of the earth. Demeter, goddess of the harvest, mourned when Persephone was taken into the underworld. Her sorrow brought winter, her hope brought spring, and so the fields themselves became a mirror of their bond, loss and return, sorrow and renewal, death and rebirth. The mysteries were the echo of this tale, a way to step inside its meaning, to feel its promise in the soul. Imagine now the first steps of an initiate. A woman walks through torchlit paths, her veil drawn, her heart steady but soft with wonder. She carries a small bundle, perhaps barley, perhaps a vessel of water. Around her others move in silence, bound together by the same longing. The air is thick with incense, with the hush of expectation. They do not speak of what will be seen, for words cannot contain it. The mysteries are not taught. They are lived. They unfold like a dream too delicate to tell. Within the sanctuary, shadows dance upon stone, torches flicker, their flames long and golden. The sound of chanting hums low, like bees circling a hidden garden. Women move at the center, their veils swaying like wings. They guide the circle, keepers of the rites, carrying memory older than the city itself. Their steps are slow, deliberate, a dance that binds the seen and unseen. The initiates watch, hearts open, as if the firelight itself whispers secrets into their bones. The story of Persephone is retold, not in words, but in movement, in silence, in the simple passing of flame from one torch to another. Persephone descends into shadow, the torches dim, Demeter mourns, and silence fills the hall. Then a flicker, a return. Persephone rises, spring awakens, and the circle glows once more. The women lift their voices, not loud but steady, as though echoing the very breath of the earth. In that moment, the promise is clear. Life does not end, but changes. The seed buried in the soil does not vanish, but prepares to rise again. The mysteries were never revealed to the uninitiated. They were not secrets of power, but of hope, a reminder that death itself was not the final word. Those who passed through the rites carried within them a quiet certainty, like a lamp lit in the night. They had touched the heart of renewal, and it could never be taken from them. For women, the mysteries held special depth. They walked in the steps of Demeter and Persephone. They knew the rhythm of loss and return, of womb and harvest, of endings that lead to beginnings. They were not only followers but guides, shaping the circle, carrying the memory of the earth within their very bodies. Their veils shimmered in the torchlight, both hiding and revealing, both silence and song. Through them, the mysteries breathed. Outside the sanctuary, the city carried on, markets bustling, ships sailing, voices rising in debate, but within these walls, time was different. Here, one did not count hours or days. Here, one moved in cycles, in seasons, in the slow turning of the wheel. Each gesture, each flame, each chant was part of something larger, something endless. The veil of mystery was not meant to conceal, but to remind what is sacred cannot be reduced to words. It can only be felt, carried like a fragrance, a dream, a song without sound. Now imagine yourself seated within that sacred hall. The torches glow around you, steady and golden. The air is warm, filled with the scent of smoke and crushed barley. The women move slowly, their veils brushing the stone, their hands lifting in soft arcs. Their presence is calm, patient, eternal. You feel your own breath fall into rhythm with the circle. Inhale as the flame rises. Exhale as the flame steadies. The veil before you shimmers. And though you cannot lift it, you sense the truth behind it, that life continues, that love returns, that the darkness itself is only a passage. The mysteries were not about knowing, but about trusting. They were not about answers, but about presence. The veil was not a wall, but a reminder that some truths are felt only in silence, like the way the night sky holds its stars, like the way the river carries its reflections, like the way your own heart beats without asking. And so, those who emerged from Eleusis stepped into the world changed. They carried no new laws, no new words. Only a lightness, a calm, a deep remembering. They had seen the face of sorrow, yet also the return of joy. They had walked through silence, and found renewal waiting on the other side. It was enough to carry them through the days, enough to soften the nights, enough to whisper hope into their last breath. Now let the veil of mystery fall gently around you. You need not part it, nor strain to see beyond. It is enough to rest within its folds, to feel its softness wrap around you like the wings of the night. The torches glow steady. The chants drift like distant waves. The cycle turns, slow and certain, carrying you as it has carried all before. Close your eyes, and let the sanctuary of Eleusis fade into the stars. The flame still burns. The women still move, veils flowing in endless rhythm. The story still lives, whispered through earth and sky. Now drift onward, carried in silence. Now rest as the veil closes softly. Now sleep, as the stars return. The desert opens slowly. A wide silence stretches across the horizon. The sand glows faintly beneath a sky turning violet with twilight. The air is cool now, the day's heat fading, leaving behind only stillness. A single star trembles into view, then another, until the heavens begin their quiet unveiling. You drift here, as if upon an endless sea of dunes, your breath falling into rhythm with the soft winds that weave through the desert night. In such vastness, the soul feels both small and eternal. Every grain of sand, ancient beyond measure, carries a memory. Every wind, a voice. And among these voices, long ago, People lifted their prayers to divine women of the desert, guardians of water, of life, of journey, of mystery. Their names shimmer like half-forgotten songs, whispered from one campfire to the next, carried by caravans that crossed from oasis to oasis. Long before temples of stone, the desert itself was the sanctuary. The dunes rose like walls of a sacred hall. The stars above glimmered like lamps hung in the roof of heaven, and the soft breath of the wind became the hymn of the night. Here, the women of the divine were honored. They were believed to walk unseen in the shifting sands, blessing travelers with safe passage, blessing the hidden wells with cool, life-giving water. One such goddess was Allat, revered in Arabia. She was called the Lady of the Stone, the mother who gave form and stability in a land where all else shifted and wandered. In the soft hush of night, her presence was felt in the circles of women who ground grain, who tended children, who kept the quiet pulse of life beating even when the land seemed empty. To honor her was to honor the grounded strength of the earth itself. As caravans rested at the edge of an oasis, fires glowing like red stars on the ground, songs to Allat were carried on the warm smoke. They were not loud songs. They were low, steady, like the heartbeat of the desert itself. Close by, there was Al-Uzza, radiant, fierce, yet also tender. She was the star of dawn, the shining one who broke the long darkness and promised the return of light. Her presence was felt when the morning winds were sharp, when the horizon glowed pale gold, when the caravans rose and began their long walk across the dunes. Women prayed to her for courage, for clarity, for renewal, for in the desert, courage was as precious as water. Without it, no path could be taken, no journey completed. And then there was Manat, the goddess of fate. She was the keeper of what was written in the unseen. Her presence lay heavy at twilight, when the edge of day met the edge of night. It was said that she held the threads of life and wove them gently, with patience beyond human time. She was not feared as a destroyer, but revered as one who gave shape and meaning to each soul's path. In the soft sigh of the desert wind, one could almost hear her loom weaving destiny as stars blinked awake one by one. In North Africa, too, divine women were sung into being. The Berber tribes whispered their prayers to Tanit, great goddess of Carthage, protector of life and fertility. She was seen in the crescent moon that hung low over the desert sands, in the gentle arc of the date palms, in the cool depths of the oasis. Tanit was the sheltering hand, the provider of abundance in places where abundance seemed impossible. Her presence was not only in the grand rituals of cities, but also in the soft steps of mothers gathering herbs, in the careful tending of wells, in the hushed blessings murmured before a journey began. Each goddess was a song, each song a lifeline in the wide silence, and together they formed a chorus that wrapped around the desert like an unseen veil. Every traveler, every tribe carried the notes of these songs within their hearts. It was a comfort, a reminder that the desert, though vast and harsh, was not empty. It was full of memory, of presence, of listening. Imagine now a caravan pausing under a canopy of stars. The camels are resting, their silhouettes dark against the faint glow of firelight. The desert night is cool and still, yet alive with soft sound. The crackle of wood, the quiet murmur of voices, the hush of sand shifting as the wind brushes it gently. At the edge of the circle, a woman begins to hum. Her voice is low, almost like the purring of the earth. The song is old, older than her mother, older than memory. It is a song to Allat, to steady the ground. Others join her, their voices blending, weaving into one stream. They sing to Al-Uzza, for light to return at dawn. They sing to Manat, for safe passage, for a destiny fulfilled, and they sing to Tanit, for water, for food, for children's laughter. The songs are soft, yet the night seems to listen, as if leaning closer. The stars flicker like watchful eyes. The fire sways with the rhythm, and the desert, though endless, feels like a home. To walk through such a night is to walk through a living prayer. Every step leaves a trace in the sand, yet the wind soon smooths it away. Still, the desert remembers, not in the way stones remember, not in the way rivers remember, but in silence. The desert holds memory like a breath held quietly, endlessly. and the divine women who walked within its silence live on in that memory, gentle as the shifting dunes, strong as the stars above. These songs of the desert were not written in books. They were carried in voices, in hands, in the beating of drums made from hide and wood. They were passed from one generation to the next, woven into daily life. They were whispered before dawn. They were hummed to children as they drifted to sleep. They were sung at wells, as water was drawn, cool and shining, from the earth's hidden heart. Now imagine the wind. Again, it moves across the dunes like a soft river of air. It lifts the edge of your robe. It brushes your hair. It carries with it the faintest trace of those songs. They are not sharp, not clear, but gentle echoes. They seem to say, "You are guided, you are seen, you are part of the great weaving of fate. The desert is wide, but you are not alone." The stars above grow brighter, clustering into shapes that once told stories. Some say they are the campfires of the divine, scattered across the heavens. Others say they are the eyes of those who watch with love. But tonight, they are simply gentle lights, steady, calming, eternal. They do not hurry. They do not fade. They keep you company as the night deepens. The divine women of the desert are still present in the silence. Their temples may have fallen. Their names may not be spoken at every camp, yet their essence lingers in the rhythm of life itself, in the patience of sand, in the strength of dawn, in the mystery of fate, in the gift of water, hidden deep beneath dry earth. Close your eyes and feel the desert breathing. Feel the songs drifting through time. Feel the presence of Al-Lat, steady and grounding. Feel Al-Uzza, radiant as morning. Feel Manat, weaving the threads of your days. Feel Tanit, sheltering as a crescent moon. They are near, not as shadows, but as gentle guardians. Now the fire grows low. The caravan sleeps. The stars lean closer, wrapping the night in silver calm. The sand cools, soft as silk beneath the feet, and the songs fade into dreams, where they continue, endless and eternal. Let the wind guide you onward. Let the stars rest above you. Let the divine voices cradle you, as softly as a mother hums to her child. The desert has no end, yet its silence is full of peace. Now drift onward, into deeper rest. The night deepens with a gentle hush. The stars lean low, their silver light soft as candle flames upon the horizon. The air is cool, carrying the quiet fragrance of earth touched by water. Ahead, you hear it? The slow, steady murmur of a river, winding through shadow and moonlight. It is not hurried, it is not restless. It flows with the patience of ages, carrying memory, carrying life. Here, beside this flowing water, the world feels softer. The worries of the day fall away, as if carried downstream. The surface glimmers with the reflection of stars, a mirror of heaven laid gently upon the earth. The water moves, yet never ends. It is a song without beginning or final note, flowing forever into dream. Across many lands, waters were seen as mothers. They gave life, they nurtured, they protected, but they could also rise in power, fierce and untamable, reminding all who drank from them that nature is both gentle and strong. To honor the waters was to honor the mothers of the world, the goddesses who moved unseen within their depths. In the green lands of India, the sacred river Ganga was adored as a goddess. Her waters descended from heaven itself, flowing across mountains and plains, carrying with her both purity and blessing. She was called Mother Ganga, the purifier of souls, the eternal guide who welcomed all into her embrace. Her riverbanks were lined with lamps at night, flickering flames that drifted upon the current like stars set free. Her presence was not only in the rushing waves, but in the quiet act of bathing, of drinking, of standing silently at dawn as mist rose from her waters like a veil. For those who touched her flow, it was said that burdens lightened, sorrows lifted, and the spirit grew clear as glass. In Africa, too, the waters held their mothers. The Yoruba people sang of Oshun, goddess of rivers, of sweetness, of love. She was the shimmer of sunlight upon flowing water, the laughter that ripples like waves, the healing touch found in the coolness of the stream. Her worshippers brought offerings of honey and flowers, casting them gently upon her current. Her presence was not only in abundance but in compassion, reminding her children that kindness, like water, moves gently yet reshapes the land. Even now, where rivers wind through forest and plain, it is said her spirit dances, golden and smiling, wherever the waters sing. Part of the north, among the Celts, rivers and lakes were honored as goddesses too. The river Boyne, in Ireland, carried the spirit of the goddess Boann, who dared to uncover the secrets of wisdom. In her boldness, she created the great river that still flows, carrying her name and memory. The waters there were not only seen as sustenance, but as gateways to knowledge, to mystery, to transformation. To stand upon the river's edge was to stand before a living goddess, patient and flowing, eternal and wise. And in the mist-covered lands of Britain, lakes were said to be guarded by women of otherworldly grace. They were keepers of gifts, guardians of mysteries, protectors of sacred places. The still surface of a lake was never empty. It was an eye, watching, remembering, holding the reflection of the skies. To cast a stone upon such waters was to send a prayer into their depths, a hope that the goddess within might listen. The river mothers were not only gentle, they could also rise in power, fierce as storms. The sea goddesses, too, carried this duality. In Phoenicia and Carthage, the goddess Tanit was linked not only with the moon and fertility, but also with the waters of the sea, guiding sailors across unknown horizons. And in Greece, the Nereids were sung of, daughters of the sea, playful, kind, but also capable of calling forth great waves when wronged. Water gave life. Water also tested. To live near rivers and seas was to know both sides, and so the people gave honor, so that the balance might be kept. Imagine now the sound of the river before you. It flows steady, unbroken. Its voice is soft like silk brushing against stone. The moon leans low, laying a silver path across its surface. You feel the presence of the mothers here, not as figures to be seen, but as warmth, as calm, as an unseen hand upon the shoulder. Close your eyes in this moment. The river flows on. It does not demand. It does not rush. It simply moves, carrying all things gently toward the sea, and as it moves, it whispers of the eternal truth, that all things are connected, all things return, all things are renewed. Long ago, women tended these waters with offerings, bowls of milk poured at the river's edge, garlands of flowers cast upon the tide, fragments of bread and honey, drifting downstream like prayers. The offerings were small, yet filled with devotion. Each gift said, "Thank you, Mother, for your care, for your strength, for your endless flow." In return, the waters answered not with words, but with blessings, the harvest that grew strong, the wells that stayed full, the journeys that were guided safely. For in the cycle of giving and receiving, harmony was kept. The river mothers carried another gift as well, the gift of cleansing. To step into their waters was to step into renewal. Dust and weariness washed away, but more than the body, it was the heart that was cleansed. Sorrows dissolved like salt in the tide. Old burdens drifted away, leaving only quiet clarity. It was as though the water itself remembered nothing heavy, nothing sharp. It only carried forward, always forward, into tomorrow. In every culture, rivers were spoken of as paths. They were the first roads, the first journeys. To follow the river was to follow the story of life itself. From the smallest spring to the wide, unending ocean, the water traced the arc of existence: birth, growth, change, return. And the goddesses who dwelled within these waters were guides upon this journey. They held the hand of the living, and in many traditions, they also guided the spirits of the dead, for the river did not only carry the body, it carried the soul. To cross its waters was to move into mystery, into another world, gentle and unseen. Listen again to the river before you. Its current whispers beneath the stars. It tells you that your spirit, too, flows. It changes, yet remains. It bends, yet is never broken. It shines, even in the dark. The river mothers remind you that life is not a stone to be held tightly. It is a stream to be moved with, patiently, gracefully. To resist is to tire. To flow is to find peace. Now the night grows deeper. The river's song softens into a lullaby. The air cools, brushing against your face with the tenderness of a mother's hand. The stars drift closer, mirrored upon the water's glassy surface. All is calm, all is safe. Rest by this river a while longer. Let its voice cradle you, carrying you gently, steadily. Onward. Feel its flow beneath your thoughts, quieting, soothing, guiding. The river mothers watch over you. Their embrace is wide as the sea, gentle as a stream, endless as time. Let us drift onward now upon their current. Let us rest as the stars return. The night is still, yet full of quiet strength. The moon hangs high, round and watchful, its silver light spreading softly over the earth. The air carries a hushed weight, as if the stars themselves bow in reverence. Somewhere in the distance, a low drum seems to echo, its sound steady, like the heartbeat of the world. It is not loud, it is not fierce. It is calm, grounding, ancient. Here we step into a different dream, a dream of guardians, of protectors, of women who stood as warriors of the sacred. Not with anger, not with destruction, but with balance. Their strength was not separate from compassion. Their fire was not without gentleness. Like rivers that nourish and flood, like winds that cool and also command storms, these women carried both power and care. Long ago, across the wide plains of myth, there were stories of the Amazons, a people said to be fierce, said to ride beneath the open skies, their bows strung with certainty, their voices lifted like hawks. Yet they were not only warriors of battle, they were guardians of their own freedom, guardians of one another, guardians of the bond between earth and spirit. They lived near rivers and mountains, their camps filled with firelight, their songs echoing beneath the stars. When they fought not only to defend, but to preserve balance, to protect life from harm. In these stories, their strength became a mirror of the divine feminine itself, unbroken, unafraid, yet deeply nurturing. The Amazons stood as reminders that the sacred feminine was never only soft, never only yielding. It could rise steady as stone when the world required guardians. In temples across ancient lands, women stood as protectors of holy spaces. In Egypt, some served as guards of shrines, their presence both ceremonial and real. They held staffs carved with sacred signs. They moved with grace, but behind their calm was readiness. To protect a temple was not only to protect stone walls. It was to protect the flame of prayer, the song of ritual, the doorway between mortal and divine. These women were living shields, reminders that devotion sometimes takes the form of strength. Among the goddesses of many cultures, warrior spirits also lived. In the lands of Mesopotamia, there was Inanna, radiant and fierce. She was the goddess of love. Yes, but also of war. She walked with lions at her side, her crown bright as morning. Her dual nature carried both tenderness and fire, teaching that life itself is woven of both. To love deeply is to protect fiercely. To protect fiercely is to honor life. The Greeks spoke of Athena, born from the mind of Zeus, carrying the shield and spear, yet also the olive branch. She was a goddess of wisdom, but also of strategy. Her battles were not of chaos, but of order, of guiding mortals toward clarity in the storms of life. She, too, embodied the truth that strength and care are never separate. And in the far north, the Norse told of the Valkyries, maidens of Odin who rode through the skies on winds like rushing wings. They were not cruel, though they chose who would live and who would die. Their hands guided warriors to their fates. Their voices carried the songs of destiny. They were fierce but also tender guides, welcoming souls into halls of eternal rest. Their strength was not wrath. It was the steady hand of destiny itself. Even closer to earth in the everyday lives of people, women became guardians too. Mothers who protected, children, healers who guarded, knowledge elders who carried stories like shields against forgetting. Strength is not always seen in spears or in battles. Strength is also the quiet endurance of those who hold their people safe through storm and famine, through sorrow and change. Now imagine in the dream before you a circle of fire. The flames burn low, not wild, not threatening. They glow with steady light, casting shadows that sway like dancers upon the earth. Around this circle stand women with calm faces, their eyes reflecting both warmth and power. They hold no weapons in their hands, and yet you feel their presence as a wall of protection. They are guardians of spirit, of story, of all that is sacred in the human heart. The fire crackles. The air grows still. And in this stillness, you feel safe, because strength, when guided by love, is never frightening. It is steady. It is sure. It is like the earth beneath your feet, always there, always holding. Across many traditions, this truth was known, that to be whole is to carry both softness and strength. The warrior women, the goddesses of battle, the temple guards, all were seen not as separate from the mothers, the healers, the singers. They were part of the same circle. Life asked for gentleness. Life asked for protection, and the sacred feminine gave both. Even the desert winds carried this balance. The Bedouin told stories of women who sang to their tribes by night, and yet by day could ride across the sands with sharp eyes, fierce in defending those they loved. The same voice that soothed a child could also call out with command. The same hands that braided hair could draw a bow. There was no conflict between these truths. They were one. The river mothers, the healers, the dancers of ritual, they all shared the same spirit with the warrior goddesses. For life is like water, it flows, it nourishes, it refreshes, but it can also rise in storm, defending itself when needed. So too with the divine feminine. It does not separate love from power. It does not choose only softness or only strength. It carries both, as the night carries both moonlight and shadow. The drumbeat in the distance grows softer now. It is no longer the sound of march or of battle. It is the sound of the heart. Slow, steady, safe. The women around the fire lower their heads. They do not shout. They do not raise their hands. They simply stand, their presence a promise that sacred things will always be guarded, that the balance of the world will always be watched over. You breathe with them in. The breath itself becomes a shield, a rhythm, a reminder that life flows on in safety. In every age, in every land, there were warriors of the divine. Not always seen, not always remembered, yet always there. They stood between chaos and harmony. They carried compassion in one hand, strength in the other. Their story is not of violence, but of balance. Their lesson is not of conquest, but of care. As you rest now, you carry this memory, that within you too lives this balance. Gentleness like flowing water, strength like unshaken stone, both held together, both sacred. The night deepens. The fire fades into embers. The drumbeat becomes silence. Only the moon remains, soft and round, watching with calm. The warriors step back into shadow, their presence lingering like a warm hand upon your heart. All is safe. All is still. The guardians remain, unseen, but near. Let us drift onward now, guided by their strength and compassion. Let us rest. As the stars return, the night opens once more, gentle and still. A pale moon drifts above quiet hills. The wind is soft, carrying only the faintest sigh of grass. Far away, a nightbird calls, its note long and low, then falls into silence again. The world feels hushed, as if holding its breath. Here begins a journey into forgotten places, where the dust of centuries rests like a veil, where echoes of prayer linger though the voices are long gone. We walk slowly through shadowed ruins. The stones are cool beneath the touch, worn smooth by time, cracked by wind, softened by moss. Vines curl around broken walls. The scent of earth is strong, mingled with the faint sweetness of night blossoms that grow where floors once held sacred steps. The stars above shine clear, watching as they always have, and here, in this quiet place, lie the forgotten altars. There was a time when these spaces were filled with song. Torches burned with bright flame. Hands scattered petals across the ground. Women gathered in circles, voices lifting in prayers both tender and fierce. They prayed to goddesses of harvest and of hearth, of river and of sky. They prayed to the unseen mothers who watched from the other side of time. Every stone once glowed with meaning. Every shadow was touched by flame. But time moves on. Empires rise and empires fall. Temples once rich with devotion fall into silence. The altars grow cold. The names once spoken are swallowed by wind. Yet still, the spirit lingers, for the sacred does not vanish, it only changes its form. Step closer, into one such place, an altar carved into stone, its edges softened by the years. Here offerings once lay, figs and bread, jars of sweet wine, milk poured as libation. At the center, a shallow bowl still rests, worn into the rock. It holds nothing now but rainwater and fallen leaves. And yet, if you listen carefully, you can almost hear the murmur of voices, the rhythm of chanting that once rose like smoke into the night sky. These were the altars of women's cults, circles of devotion where the feminine divine was honored. Some were small, hidden in caves where the drip of water sounded like a heartbeat. Some were vast, built into temples that reached toward the heavens. Each was a doorway between worlds, a place where mortal hands reached toward the eternal. In Greece, shrines once honored Demeter, goddess of grain, and her daughter Persephone. Women carried torches into the dark of night. Walking in secret processions, their rituals promised renewal, the return of life after loss. The Eleusinian mysteries, so they were called, were whispered as the most sacred rites of all. No one could speak of what they saw within, but all carried out changed, their hearts touched by the hidden fire. Those sanctuaries lie broken now. Their stones are scattered, but their mystery lingers in the hush of the earth, in the cycle of seeds and harvest, in the eternal return of spring. In Anatolia, the mother goddess Cybele was worshipped. Her altars once rang with drums, deep and steady, echoing like thunder through the mountains. Her image was carved into cliffs, her face calm and watchful, crowned with towers. The symbol of her strength, the people brought offerings to her, calling her the great mountain mother, protector of cities, guardian of life itself. Now her shrines are quiet, but the mountains still remember. Their peaks rise like her crown. Their caves hum with the old echoes of drums, and in forgotten groves of oak. Women once gathered for Artemis. They came beneath the silver light of the moon, offering cakes shaped like animals, pouring honey onto the roots of trees. She was the wild one, the huntress, protector of young and free. Her altars were the trees themselves, her temple the open sky. Even if the shrines of stone crumble, the forest itself still carries her presence. The rustle of leaves, the call of the deer, the soft glow of moonlight through branches. Not all altars were grand. Some were no larger than a hearth. In small homes, women lit candles before clay figures of mothers and goddesses. They whispered prayers for their children, for the health of their families, for safety through the night. The warmth of those prayers still clings to the air, even now, even when the houses have long since turned to dust. For prayer leaves traces, like smoke upon the walls, like fragrance woven into cloth. Though the flame burns out, the warmth remains. Walk deeper into the ruins. There is a hush here, heavy yet gentle, like the silence inside a shell pressed to the ear. You feel the weight of time, but not in sorrow. It is a tender weight, like the memory of a song. Every stone feels alive, holding stories too ancient to be spoken aloud. Every broken column is a finger pointing toward the stars. The altars are forgotten by name, but not by presence. They still stand as quiet guardians, and in their silence, they teach another kind of truth, that even when memory fades, the sacred endures. That devotion leaves marks deeper than stone. Imagine a river flowing past these ruins. The water is dark and still, carrying reflections of the stars. It does not hurry. It does not stop. Like time, it moves gently onward. The river remembers what people forget. Its waters once carried offerings cast upon its surface. Flowers, oil lamps, pieces of bread. Though centuries have passed, the river still whispers those prayers, carrying them onward, folding them into the endless sea. Some say that forgotten altars are not truly abandoned. They are tended by spirits unseen, guardians who linger where the mortal world has fallen silent. Perhaps a bird calls out at dawn, and that is its hymn. Perhaps a fox pauses in the ruins, and that is its offering. Perhaps the wind itself moves through broken halls, carrying with it the memory of chance. The sacred is never lost, it only changes its voice. As you walk among these quiet stones, you may feel a deep peace. No crowds gather here, no priests lift their hands, no incense rises into the night. Yet the place is holy still. The silence itself becomes a prayer. The stillness is its offering. And in that silence, the heart rests. The forgotten altars remind us of the cycle of all things. What is built will one day fall. What is sung will one day fade, but nothing truly vanishes. Every act of devotion remains in the great weaving of the world. It becomes part of the wind, part of the soil, part of the stars above. Even if names are forgotten, the spirit remains. Even if stones crumble, the presence endures. Now the moon climbs higher. Its silver light touches the ruins, painting them with quiet beauty. The broken columns gleam like white bones. The fallen walls glow like soft marble. The earth seems to breathe. The altars may be forgotten, but they are not empty. They are full, with silence, with memory, with the eternal presence of the sacred. You sit beside one, resting in the cool night air. The stone beneath your hand is rough, yet steady. You feel a calmness rising, as if the prayers once spoken here still drift around you, invisible yet near. They cradle you, like a gentle song without words. The night deepens. Stars scatter across the sky like seeds cast upon the soil of darkness. A breeze stirs, carrying the faint scent of jasmine. The ruins rest, patient and eternal. You too may rest here, for all is safe, all is quiet. The forgotten altars watch over you. Even now, let us drift onward into deeper silence. Let us close our eyes with the stones, with the river, with the stars. Now rest, as the forgotten altars remember for you. The night has deepened. The stars are steady, like quiet lanterns hung in the vastness of the sky. The air is cool, carrying with it the faint song of crickets, the hush of leaves brushing against one another, the slow breath of the earth itself. All is still. All is safe. You drift once more into a story soft and endless, like a river moving gently through the dark. The journey through temples, deserts, rivers, and forgotten ruins has brought you here, to the final resting place of thought and dream. Here, there is no single shrine, no single goddess, no single myth. Instead, there is a tapestry woven from all of them. It stretches across time, across land and sea, threaded with voices both ancient and near. It is the song of the divine feminine, echoing through every age, not loud, not harsh, but soft, eternal, like the hum of the stars. Listen closely. In every age, people have whispered prayers to the feminine divine. She was mother, healer, warrior, guide. She was river and mountain, moon and flame. Her presence shifted, taking on many names, many forms, yet always she returned. Always she remained. Like the tide, she moves in and out of memory. Like breath, she rises and falls. Like the heartbeat of the earth, she is steady, whether noticed or not. Even when temples crumble, even when songs fall silent, her echo remains, woven into the very fabric of life. Imagine standing in the stillness of night. The stars above seem endless, yet they are bound together by a hidden pattern. So, too, are the many faces of the divine feminine. From Sumer to Egypt, from Greece to Africa, from the sands of Arabia to the rivers of the north, her spirit has always shone. She is Inanna, stepping into the underworld and rising again. She is Isis, gathering the broken pieces of love to make them whole. She is Demeter, mourning and rejoicing with the seasons. She is Artemis, running wild beneath the moon. She is countless others, unnamed, yet not forgotten. Her echo is not in the stones alone. It is in the wind, in the flowing water, in the quiet of the night. Even now, her presence lives in simple things. In the way a mother soothes her child with a soft song. In the way hands prepare food with care, turning the ordinary into offering. In the way stories are passed from one generation to the next, carrying wisdom wrapped in gentle words. Each act of kindness, each thread of compassion carries the same echo. It is the divine feminine, still breathing through the world. Some echoes rest in ritual, the lighting of a candle at dusk, the pouring of water to honor ancestors, the placing of flowers before a simple shrine. These gestures may feel small, yet they are vast. They carry the same spirit that once filled great temples. The flame is smaller, but the devotion is no less bright. Through these quiet rituals, the feminine divine continues to flow, unseen yet present, like an underground spring feeding the roots of all things. Other echoes live in stories told by firelight, stories whispered at bedsides, stories that travel across oceans, taking on new shapes but always carrying the same heart. They remind us of courage and tenderness, of the cycles of loss and renewal, of the power of love to heal what is broken. These stories are not gone. They are carried in memory, in language, in the gentle hush of the night when one heart speaks to another, and still other. Echoes dwell in spirit, in the resilience that rises after hardship, in the compassion that reaches toward those in need, in the quiet strength that endures without praise. The divine feminine breathes through the human heart, through patience, through care, through the will to nurture life even in difficult soil. Walk now in imagination across the landscapes we have traveled. See the desert, stretching endless beneath the sun. Hear the river, moving slow and deep. Feel the cool of a ruined temple, the walls heavy with silence. Each place holds a fragment of the feminine divine. Together, they form a whole. The desert shows her endurance. The river shows her flow. The ruins show her memory. The temple shows her light. All are part of her endless echo. She is not far away. She does not live only in old stories. She is close as breath. She lives in the balance of the body and the earth. She lives in the kindness exchanged between souls. She lives in the courage to love, and to create, to heal, to stand strong. Where there is compassion, she is there. Where there is patience, she is near. Where there is gentleness, her voice is heard. The divine feminine is not bound by one name or one image. She is many, and she is one. She is the sea, always shifting, always vast. She is the moon, waxing and waning, yet always returning. She is the earth itself, carrying all in silence, enduring through time. Her presence cannot be lost, for it is woven into the pattern of being. Now imagine a bell, soft and low, ringing across a valley. Its sound is gentle, fading into distance, yet still it lingers. So too is her echo. Even when the sound has passed, something remains in the air, something you can almost feel upon the skin. Her echo moves through time in the same way, subtle yet strong, faint yet eternal. You may feel it now, as you drift in the quiet, a sense of being held softly by something ancient and vast, a presence that does not need words, a calmness like the still surface of a lake beneath moonlight. That is her echo, not loud, not demanding, just steady, waiting, holding. The journey draws near its close. From the altars of stone to the songs of the desert, from rivers to battlefields, from mysteries hidden to memories fading, we have walked with the presence of sacred women, and now we see how they remain, not only in the past, but in this very moment. They are the eternal echo, carried through ritual, story, and spirit. They are the breath within silence, the flame within darkness, the hand that lifts when all seems lost. Rest now in this thought, that the sacred never vanishes, that love never fades, that wisdom flows like water, always finding a way. The divine feminine is not gone. She is here, still, always. In the stillness of the night, she whispers. In the depths of the heart, she rests. She is eternal. The stars above seem brighter now, though the night grows later. They shine like jewels scattered upon dark velvet, glowing softly, endlessly. Each one is an echo. Each one is a reminder. Each one is a flame that will not fade. So too is the divine feminine. So too is her song. Let us drift onward, into sleep, carried by these echoes. Let the night cradle you, as the ancient presence cradles the world. Now rest as the stars return, and the eternal feminine breathes with you in silence.